What's good? What's good? Welcome back to Invest and Trade with Jax. Hope everybody's doing well. Good early afternoon from Johannesburg, South Africa. Flying home next week. Well, in 10 days, I fly home back to Canada. Have to renew my passport. So that will be fun. Anyways, we're going to go over our friend Bitcoin. Currently, we're sitting at 19,774. We're seeing a market cap at 374 billion. 24-hour volume, 26.34 billion. Let's hop into the charts. So we're going to start here on the 1 hour time frame. So we talked about yesterday the possibility of a 1-2-1-2 pattern. That's the only wave count that can still be valid. I think there's a good chance of it being invalidated, especially if we lose the ascending trend line of support here, as we're seeing quite a bit of weakness in my opinion. If we take a fib retracement from the low here all the way up to the high, you can see we pulled all the way back to the 0.786, which can be typical of a wave 2 pullback. So if we were to bounce from this level, and that would also be a nice bounce from the ascending triangle, which we'll look at in a minute here, then we could see a nice push back to the upside. But what we may also see, let me pop over to my chart here. Okay, so we have the ascending trend line, the ascending support. Depending on where you draw out your trend line, I have it pulled down to the wicks here. So anywhere in this range, let me drop in a little box. Bitcoin would have to bounce, but what we may see here, so in between about 19.3, 19.2, and about 19.6, which is the current level, if we are going to see a nice push. But what we might see, we've seen a strong bearish move to the downside, so we may see a relief bounce, a dead cat bounce, before seeing continuation and breaking down here. Of course, the bullish scenario is that we see a strong bounce off this level of support. We come all the way back up, test this level of resistance, and break out. But as of right now, we're just range bound within this ascending triangle. So we'll see what happens over the next few days. If you see us start to consolidate, where we see a little bit of consolidation from this level, we could see a nice little baby ascending triangle right in this area here, and we'll squeeze into the apex, and then you may see that push to the upside. But just watch for a potential dead cat bounce and then seeing continuation. If we do come all the way up and retest this resistance, I think that would be more confirmation that the bulls are going to break out of this pattern and see a nice push back to the upside. But if we've been watching the previous bull market high, which was coming in at about 19.7, 19.8K, and once again we have broken below it. So if we start to confirm below 19.8K, that's a strong bearish signal that we're going to come down to that 17K level, and the support that we've dropped in here at about 11 to 13K for BTC. Now I want to show you guys the DXY. We had a topping tail candle right here, this red candle, but it was invalidated. The DXY is continuing to push up. We broke the 1.272 extension. We had some bearish divergences that were invalidated as well on the 4 hour, as well as the daily. The fact that the DXY is remaining strong and continuing to push up here means that we may see it come all the way up to the 1.618. And of course, when the DXY is pumping, Bitcoin is falling. So we were looking at that alternative wave count. Let me quickly pop it open here. All right, here we go. Where this was your wave 1, your wave 2 pullback, your largest wave 3, corrective wave 4. So if we start to come down, lose 17K, then we can put in that wave 5 to take you down to that 11 to about 13K price target for BTC. I do think that's a likely scenario. As I mentioned, even if we see a large bounce to the upside to take you up to 26K, I do think we'd still be looking at one more wave down. The other wave count was that this was the bottom, this was your wave 5, but personally I don't think it's the likely scenario. I think it's much more likely that we're going through a wave 4 correction and waiting for that final wave 5 to the downside to bring you down to that 11 to 13K price target. Short term here, we're all watching the support of this ascending triangle to see if we see a bounce. Could be a good opportunity to go long here, see a nice bounce. Even if you see a dead cat bounce, you could still make some juicy profits off a potential long trade for BTC. If we come down and we break this ascending support line, we hit it as resistance, then we do have a target to the downside, which will quickly drop in if we measure the body and we take it to the point of breakout. It is a bullish pattern, but of course it can break to the downside, and that would take you all the way down here to about 16K for our friend Bitcoin. I think that's basically it for this one. We are trending towards oversold on our indicators here, so just keep that in mind. But the fact that the DXY, let me pop it open one more time quickly. The DXY broke the 1.272. You can see we had a strong rejection wick here on the 4 hour time frame. but it didn't lead to a rejection. The price continued to push up here. So your next resistance to watch, in my opinion, is coming in. Let me scroll out here at the 1.414, which is currently coming in at 109 for the DXY. If we see a rejection from that level, that's when you could see a nice push back to the upside for Bitcoin. And we'll continue to watch this 1-2-1-2 pattern and potential wave 3. But honestly, it's looking pretty weak in my opinion. Even if we do see a bounce, I think it's a little bit less likely now that we put in that wave 3. But of course, anything can happen. If we get above 23K, that's more confirmation that we are going to see that move to the upside for our friend Bitcoin. So that is it for this one. Big shout out to the Discord. Our last trade with Matic, we locked in a juicy 12% profit, as well as locked in some profits on our previous spot trade for Ethereum. So if you want my exact entries, exits, and take profits, you can sign up through the Patreon link. It's only $10 a month. If you want to trade with me, make sure to sign up to Bybit. $4,500 in bonuses. You can check out my full length tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, much love. Take care.